Hey, hello everyone. Good evening. This is Radhakrishnan from Pixel Village. Welcome to another edition of Meet the Mentor from Pixel Village. The idea is to introduce the mentors of Pixel Village to our audience. As you know, Pixel Village is not just a YouTube channel. We also have an online photography education portal where we have lined up some of the finest photography mentors from this country. And we are also trying to get from other countries. And we have recorded these, very high quality learning sessions for you. And we have made it available at our website called pixelvillage.com. And before I begin, I'd like to kind of give you a sneak preview of what we have in store for you. Then we'll come back and start the session today.
How I go and shoot a wedding?
You want to create something in the world, you have to come out of the condition. I am a lifestyle photographer based out of New Delhi. पिक्सल विलेज का जो अप्रोच है वो जरा अलग है.
That's right. That's what we do at Pixel Village. And what this kind of opportunities, we try to introduce our mentors to you through a small conversation where the mentor talks about his life, his beliefs, his photography, and all that to you. And we give you an opportunity. I mean, we organize an opportunity, in fact, for you to interact directly with the mentor. Of course, he is available anytime for you, but particularly in this session, you can ask, your doubts and questions to him face to face. So today's mentor that we'd like to introduce to you is William Chang. And William Chang, as you know, is a wedding photographer from India, and he lives in Delhi. I'm so sorry, I had a late lunch. And he is here. In fact, he will tell you his story. I mean, it's very interesting, and he's waiting to talk to you. There are lots of people here who have come already. Joel, Mark, LMG. Yes, Joel, thank you very much for coming. You have Praveen Mepayur. Hello, Praveen. Namaskaram, namaskaram. And we have Dove Kader from Jerusalem. Wonderful. Oh, I'm really happy to have you here, Dove. Amog Thakur, love your videos, Radha. Hey, Amog, is that the Amog? Well, then William will be happy to, talk to you. Wonderful. Bhushan Patil is here. And Siddharth Kumar, can you say which is the PC which you edit photos? Oh, it's too early in the day or in the evening to answer questions. So, yeah, we will take those kind of questions. Amog, I think William will be happy to meet you here, Amog. Mountain King from Gujarat is here. Shyam Shashi saying Namaskaram. Awul Bharat Raj saying I am Bharat. Kanti Kiran saying good morning. Wonderful, wonderful. Exploring light. Jesse sir, fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to see you here. I'm going to miss you at 6 o'clock in your show. Hopefully I'll finish early. If I don't, please excuse me. Then FM1 show, Firial Al-Hazan, and from Arabia, Saudi Arabia. Hi, from Saudi Arabia. Wonderful. Happy to have you here. Yeah. Tony Thomas saying hello. I am your biggest fan. Jai Krishan saying thank you very much. Thank you very much. And We are today live only on YouTube, and well, we are reaching out to the international audience today. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Let's get right in. Okay. Today's subject or topic that rather the mentor would like to talk to you about is style. How important is a style to a photographer? He is someone who's very, very finicky about his style, to an extent that he says no to any client who says no to his style. He said, look, if he doesn't agree to his style, I said, okay, thanks, no, you can invite me to your wedding. I'll come and be a part of the wedding, but I won't take pictures, So William was very, very, very strong in his principles and his beliefs about photography. And well, he has come a long way. Well, in fact, he is a little far away today. And before I take him onto the screen, I give you a brief introduction about William to you.
Shooting weddings is something that requires me to capture memories. I'm somebody who tells stories about probably the most important day of many people's lives. The service that we are providing to families goes beyond just clicking pictures. I've been shooting professionally for about 13 years now. And these 13 years I've covered the entire length of India, right from Rajasthani weddings in the west to Naga weddings in the northeast, down south Malayali weddings and Punjabi weddings up north.
That's right, William. Welcome
Hello.
to Pixel Village. How are you,
Thank
sir?
you, Radha. I'm very well, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, and
Hi.
good morning to everyone who's logged in right now to this live session.
Oh yeah, so they will be
Thank you for
wondering
joining in.
why you're saying good morning. So I think you should start with that story.
Okay, well, I'm right now in Canada. I came here around the beginning of March with my family for a holiday. It was the period between my son's end of session and beginning of the new academic session. And it was meant to be a 3-week holiday, and we all know what happened. Coronavirus hit, and Canada went into lockdown. All the airports around the world shut down, and I've been here ever since. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm here. It's now 7:45 in the morning.
And I suppose
we're
it's about
kind of-
16, 17 degrees.
Actually, it's still technically, let me check. It's technically still spring, they say here. It's about, where's my weather app? It's about, yeah, you're right. It's about 17 degrees at the moment. So it's nice, and it's not summer. It's not like what you guys have in India right now. So I'm happy about that I'm not experiencing
You're not
that
in
kind of
Delhi.
heat.
But Delhi was raining
Yes.
yesterday or day before, yeah.
I heard, yes.
Yeah, wonderful. So, William, so let's dive in straight away. So you started with your photography career. Well, you actually went to learn photography in the Light and Life Academy, right?
Yes, that's right.
Light and Life. You were one of the early students in Light and Life Academy, and you did a full year degree course from Light and Life.
Yes, actually 2 years.
2 years.
When I did
Wonderful.
it was a 2-year course.
Wonderful.
In fact, Amog, who's there, hi Amog, he was one of my classmates.
Oh yeah, so that's why Amog was saying hi to William. Hi Amog, happy to be
I'm gonna keep
see you here.
to my right because I have my phone for the comments over here. So
wonderful.
Over. So.
Wonderful. You can also see the comments on the comments column. If you click on the comment box or right on top of your box, yeah, you can also see the comments there.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
No problem. Amog saying hi, William. Okay, so from that industrial, from Light and Life, you went. You quick. I mean, I suddenly was reminded about industrial light and magic. ILM. Every time I talk about light and life, in the same breath, I kind of remember industrial light and magic. Yeah, because they sound very similar to me. And lots of people who knows you are here. And of course, Rajesh, we are saying very good evening, Radha sir. Siddharth Kumar saying, how are you, William sir? Vijay Rawat saying, hi, William. And I guess I am the only Naga watching this. And Arena Chame is saying. So
That's
wonderful.
funny.
You have some interesting Naga stories today for people, I'm sure. Well, because I heard a few from you when we met.
One at least.
Oh, yeah. All right. So why don't you take us through that whole journey first before you actually take us through your pictures and your beliefs about photography and the importance of having a style of your own?
Sure. Actually,
Can I leave the stage to you and I will be there watching? Let people see you in full sight.
Okay, sure. Yeah, thanks, Radha. Thank you for this. First of all, thank you so much to Pixel Village. And I know you're saying you're alone, but people don't know this, but there's a whole team of people working behind the scenes, even in our lockdown situation, which you probably never heard about. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's working behind this this entity of Pixel Village. Okay, so my name is William Chang. Let me just start again. I am of Chinese origin. It's quite obvious, but I grew up in India. We've been there for many generations. My people. I'm Hakka Chinese. We've been in India for, some historians say, about 200-300 years. I'm a fourth generation Indian Chinese. I grew up in Delhi. I studied there. I still live there. And after schooling, in fact, it was during school, and it's funny that I'm telling you this story from Canada. My photography journey kind of actually started right here in Canada, in Toronto, in fact. And it was during one of my summer holidays that I had come with my parents. It was in 2008. Sorry, 1998. My family bought our very first DSLR. Not DSLR, it was just SLRs back then. I'm so sorry. It was still film, and it was a camera shop called Henry's. I remember that name because it was a bright orange logo, and I knew nothing about SLRs, not much at least. It was a year prior, in '97, is when I actually stumbled upon photography, and before that, I didn't even know you could be a photographer and do that as a profession and make that a career. I was in class 11, and this is when, well, after we bought our SLR, it was a big purchase for us. It was quite an expensive, it was a big deal in our family. So I already knew a little bit about aperture, shutter speed, those kind of things. It was actually Better Photography magazine that helped me kind of get an understanding of photography. And really, we never had internet. We never had fast enough internet for us to go and explore. There was no YouTube. There was no. I don't even think there was Google. You couldn't even ask questions about photography if you had to. So I didn't know where to go. So my only resource was this Better Photography magazine. So I'm quite thankful to them for sort of kickstarting my hobby, which is now my career. And I started shooting, our family holiday, and being a 16-17-year-old, I think my parents weren't that keen on me handling such an expensive camera, but really they didn't have much of a choice because my sister at that time was too young, and my parents were not really interested in handling that kind of technology back then. So I was by default the person who would operate the camera. I ended up shooting a lot of oddball things in my mother's eyes. It was things like flowers, insects, sunrises, buildings, those kind of things which even till today most amateurs shoot. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's the bug that bit me, the photography bug that bit me. And because I was in class 11, it was another year for me to graduate. It was when I finished school is when I got to know about Light and Life Academy. Again, in Better Photography magazine, it was at the end of the magazine where you have the ads for equipment and things like that. And what caught my eye in the ad was the simplicity of that ad. It was not, there was hardly any words. It was a white background. It was just a picture of the academy, which was not built yet at that time, but it was just under construction. And it was just spectacularly photographed. Just the light, the colors, the mood. It was so nice to see. And that's what caught my eye. And basically that sold me about UT, about Light Life Academy. And then I requested for a prospectus. I applied online. Long story short, I got in. Um, I completed the course. It was a wonderful experience. It was a very interesting experience. It was lots of ups, lots of lows. Being a first time teacher for Iqbal and Anuradha, who run the academy, uh, they had a lot of let we had a lot of adventurous times together. Let me just put it that way. Um, Along the way, I met some fantastic teachers. I had teachers from Brooks Institute of Photography. I had people from India, from all over, the industry. So I had a really good exposure to all kinds of photography, right? From industrial to nature, fashion, automobile, which was Iqbal's specialty, nature, wildlife, you name it, I did it. In fact, we even did a little bit of underwater photography. I never really got to photograph underwater, but I've held professional underwater equipment because at one point there was an instructor who came and gave us a little talk about underwater photography. So really, we got a really good wide exposure to all kinds of work, and I was really tuned for doing commercial photography, and I actually specialized towards the end of the course. You're expected to specialize in one kind of photography, and I really found it hard to specialize. Even now, actually, I don't really specialize in any one kind of photography. I'm most well known for my documentary wedding photography, but that's not the only thing I do. I do a lot of commercial, industrial products, advertising photography, fashion, portraiture, food, those kind of things. So I actually specialized in fine art photography in Light and Life Academy. I don't know how many people know that. And I love shooting uh, fine art, inanimate objects, still life, those kind of things. Found objects. That's one of the things that I really love shooting. But I knew that stuff like that, shooting things like that, wouldn't really put food on the table. At the end of the day, we still have to do commercial work to be able to pay for things in life. So obviously, I did things like product and architecture now to keep me afloat. And then I graduated in 2003. I assisted Iqbal, in fact, for about a year and a half. And then in 2005 is when I uh, started shooting professionally. And in the video, in the introduction, it actually says 13 years. It's actually now 15 years because that video is now about 2 years old. So yeah, I've been a professional for 15 years. I've shot mostly in India. I have done work outside of India as well. And I have a fairly diverse portfolio, I would say. And most often people talk about me and they refer to me as a wedding photographer. I don't mind that at all. And uh, today, what I will be showing you is, and since it's also the topic of our discussion, will be all to do with wedding photography. And I'll be happy to take questions regarding that, be it technical or aesthetic. If you want to know my equipment, I happen to be carrying some here. If you want to see anything, I can show you. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums me up.
Perfect.
And it's
Thank you
ironic,
very much.
or I don't know, I'm so happy to be here in Canada where my journey started. And when Radha actually asked me to do this live session, I jumped at it. In fact, I've never done a live session. This is my first of any kind. And yeah, I had butterflies. I was
Yeah.
telling Radha last night before sleeping that I was nervous,
So Iftikhar saying, Chang sir, greetings from Jamia. That's where you teach, right?
Hi. Yes, I do. I've been teaching for about 10 years there now.
Yeah,
So
we
hi to
have
all my Jamia folks.
Yeah, we have now today viewers from all across the globe. I saw someone from Indonesia waiting, KSA, meaning Republic of no, KSA, yeah, Saudi Arabia, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of people waiting. I'm so happy. Thank you very much. Okay,
Yeah,
now
I'm happy too.
so let's dive straight into pictures now.
Okay,
So
let me
it's
just.
it's wedding,
Mhm.
but you were, there's a kind of pictures that you take. I mean, it's not really those glamorous wedding images that you usually create.
Mhm.
You have another way of narrating that story, and you have your own reason why you shoot the way you shoot a wedding. I
Yeah.
like you to,
Yeah. Sure. So sorry, there's a little delay in the audio. So
maybe, yeah,
I hope that doesn't really bother
it's okay.
anybody. So yes, talking about style, it was so wedding photography. In fact, going back to Light and Life, wedding photography was one of the topics which was really never taught at Light and Life Academy. I remember distinctly we had one. Where's the camera? One session, and it was not even in a classroom. It was sitting in the corridor of a classroom, and we Iqbal was there, Amog was there. I don't remember who else was there. I think there were a couple of the juniors also were there, and so it wasn't even a formal class, and it was just talking about the state of wedding photography. And this is I'm talking about almost 20 years back, and we were like, that's not something we're going to do. I mean, that's the reason why we're here is because we don't want to do wedding photography. So it's ironic that today I'm most well known for that. And in fact, when I actually started, or not started, when I actually told my parents that I want to do I want to do photography, it was my mom who was a bit kind of, confused with that decision. She was like, "What? You want to be shooting pictures at a wedding?" I mean, at weddings like those guys, because in her eyes, the only photographer she's ever seen are the guys who she's seen at weddings. Um, and that wasn't in her eyes, a very pretty sight. And she couldn't understand why I would want to do that. So, so it was that plus, never really got trained in wedding photography per se. We never had a formal class, but we were taught our usual event photography stuff, which is, we call it the Chappan Sart rule, which is uh, aperture 5.6 and shutter speed 1/60th for 100 ISO film, and you would be expected to use Kodak gold negative film, so that even if you make a mistake, you can push and pull your prints. So that's pretty much my knowledge, which I gained technically speaking from Light and Life. And then it was around 2007. I've been working for about 2.5 years. A friend of mine actually recommended my name to his friend in Bangalore, saying that there's this guy, and he also is my friend, incidentally, saying that this guy he shoots wedding. I mean, he shoots really nice pictures, and he kind of knew that I like documentary photography. So he called me and he said, I'm getting married. Will you be able to photograph my wedding? I was like, I've never really thought about it, doing it to do wedding photography professionally. Till that point, I had shot a few weddings, cousins, my sister's wedding, and those kind of things. But uh, I don't even remember one picture from it because I just did it on autopilot. I didn't really think of style. I just wanted to document it for, just because I had just finished a photography course. So it was a few years prior to that. I was actually sitting down with Satyajit, CP Satyajit. He is an ex assistant to Iqbal and is now an automobile photographer in Chennai and a good friend of mine. I happened to be in his studio and we were just discussing about commercial photography and the future and those kind of things. And he actually
Another
ended up
light and
showing me.
life guy another light and life guy.
Hi, Swapnil. He actually ended up showing me pictures of a wedding that he had photographed. It was a Christian wedding. He shot it in black and white, and I was like, "Wow, you're a successful automobile photographer. You're shooting weddings." So he's like, yeah, you know what? But this was such a good escape for me as an artist. I got to do what I love to do and what I want, in the way I want to do it, in my way, with my vision and those kind of things. Those may not be the exact words he used, but I remember him showing me these big black and white prints, and that left a really lasting impression on me. And I thank him for that, for sharing those pictures with me. And uh, I remembered his words, and I told my friend who was about to get married that, if you want me to shoot your wedding, let me do it my way. Let me shoot it in a way that I see your wedding. Are you okay with that? And I'm not going to. This is not going to be a professional assignment in the sense that there's no money to be exchanged here, because this is my very first assignment where somebody's asked me to shoot their wedding. How often do you get married? So then I was like, okay, let's do this. And it was in another city. He flew me down, he put me up, and you know, uh, I shot the wedding. He loved the pictures. I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest, because it was a wedding. I've never shot a wedding where, you have no retakes. You're in an environment where people are all dressed up. So it was very unnatural environment for me to be in. And uh, the pictures came out really nice. A year went by, nothing happened. And another friend of mine in Bangalore approached me to shoot his wedding. And this is and that was 2000. This is 2008. This is when I actually shot my first professional wedding assignment, where I actually got paid to do what I do. And that got the ball rolling. In 2010, I won the Better Photography Kodak Wedding Photographer of the Year for photo stories, and that's which got me a lot of mileage. And ever since then, like it says in your video, I've shot in the length and breadth of India and outside, in this documentary style. And somewhere along the line, about 10 years back, around 2011 or so, I decided that, my pictures weren't doing enough for me, in the sense that, or rather my clients were just looking at the pictures and then it would be on their phones. It was early days of WhatsApp, and it would just circulate on WhatsApp at the most, and people would see it on a small screen. In those days we had 4-inch smartphones, and I wasn't really too happy to hear that. So then I was like, how do I make this an experience for the clients, that they can remember me and my work in a more tangible way, where they can actually touch and feel, and which doesn't really require electricity. uh, so then I said, books. It was in 2000, again, it was in 2008. I was with Amog and lots of other my juniors from Light and Life, and also a couple of my instructors from Light and Life. We were shooting the Pushkar Cattle Festival, and during one of our downtimes, we were just sipping coffee, and we were talking about photography. And they were like, "Oh, you know what? In the West, they are from the US. They're like, here, there's Blurb is doing really well. They've introduced these coffee table books which you could design your own and you can print, and people have started doing that for weddings." I was like, wow, that's a nice thought. So around 2010, photo books came to India, and that's when I taught myself how to design books. And I use till today, I use Photoshop to make my books. I was very good at Photoshop. I would I go to the extent of saying I think I'm still very good at it. I've been doing it for, even before Light and Life. I was doing Photoshop. I was trained in Photoshop. So I've been trained in Photoshop by various instructors, from web designing backgrounds, from photography backgrounds, from graphic design backgrounds. So I have um, I would say I have a very good knowledge of Photoshop and designing and those kind of things. So I applied what I knew in Photoshop and what I knew in photography. I put them together and I decided designing my own books. I don't have an exact count, but I think I have about maybe more than 100 books published now for private consumption, unfortunately. And these are all wedding books.
Yeah.
And they're big. They're about 12 by 12 inches. Sorry, let me come into frame. And so when you open them, they're like 2 feet wide. So all my clients who hire me for their weddings, they get these books. And it ties in with my documentary style, because it's photo storytelling.
Okay, wonderful.
So that's the importance of style for me. You know, it's not limited to one kind of photography. It's not limited to just shooting only industrial or only fashion and all that. You can even apply making photo books for other forms of photography, even if it's, say, industrial or wildlife and those kind of things. So I think
So
style
people
is
who
something
are,
that,
yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say style is something that is, for me, very personal. It is something that it keeps developing, and I learn from people like you, Radha, and it's about keeping an open mind. It ties down to something what one of my first instructors told me, Jonathan Kingston. I don't know if you're watching, Jonathan. I think you're going to watch this later. It's too early for him. Um, he shared a poster and a video about Bruce Lee when he talks about being like water. Like, it has no form. When you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. When you put water in, those. So that uh, clip, that quotation, and that video really left a lasting impression. Like, style should not be stagnant. Style should be something that is evolving, and it should be your own, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it should be something that is adaptable. It's something that is not rigid.
Absolutely, it's a big learning. I mean, in fact, there's a big takeaway in that session itself. If I have to, kind of decode it for our viewers, is that lots of us, a lot of photographers, when they want, start out as a photographer and go out, first thing that they do is to look up for inspiration. Look up, well, in these days you look up Google for inspiration, and what you try to do is to try and copy most of those images, and also try and look around what is happening around you and go by the trend. Okay. Now, while there is nothing wrong in it, while then the you gets sidelined there. You are, becoming a commodity. Well, you go by the trend, whereas here you are someone who looks at an event through your own eye, not somebody else's eye, and you interpret it in your own way. Hence, instead of, when you photocopy something, you will make either a better photocopy or a similar photocopy or a cheap photocopy of the same. But when you try to interpret something in your own way, well, you start developing a style of your own. And all those photographers who have done that have left a mark, or they still have the mark. Rest all are trying to copy, and well, if you copy better, you will do till that trend is on. Once the trend is, one trend is like a chewing gum, you cannot keep it in your mouth forever. Once the sugar, once the sugar level is done, you need to spit it out. You see, so. But once you have a style of your own, and there is a reason for that style, I think, and that style will constantly keep getting evolved, and then that's why you have a Steve McCurry or a Raghu Rai or a Raghuveer Singh, right? They never tried to photocopy anybody. I mean, they tried to develop their own. So yeah, I mean, I suppose that's a big takeaway for our viewers in the first 30 minutes itself.
Yeah, thank you for adding that.
Back to you.
Great tips.
Back to you.
Yeah, I mean, so that's been, in a nutshell, my journey in wedding photography. Even till today, my approach to to weddings is still documentary, in the sense that there's minimal or no posing. I'm not saying no posing at all. There is posing. That is something I talk about. How I develop my style. Initially, when I started, I was fairly rigid in my wedding contract, so to speak. I would say that there's absolutely no posing, those kind of things, and no group shots and all that. And most of the clients were okay with it, but there were some clients who, or if not the client directly, it was usually the client's parents or relatives of an older generation who'd still want to see those traditional photographs, those pose photos and all that. So I decided that, why not also add that to my documentary photos? So I started doing portraiture during my weddings as well. It's still an option. It's not something. There are still clients who don't want any post photographs, so I'm very happy to do that. And then there are those who would still like some amount of posing, couple shots, some family shots. So I still go when I meet clients, I tell them that there is no posing, but we will do some. If you want, we will do some post pictures for you and for your family, because I know it's important. I realized that only once I got married, is that when I was putting together my photo album, and here's a interesting fact: for my wedding, I had 15 photographers. Not one of them was hired. They were all friends. About 3-4 of them were complete amateurs, and a couple of them actually shot on film. This is 2010, and so long story short, it took me 3 years to get these non-wedding
Images back with
photographers to give me images. They're calling, WhatsApping, messaging, emailing. Just it was a nightmare to get these 15 guys. Eventually, I only managed 11 photographers. I have not seen the works of 4 photographers. I don't want to
Yet.
name them or embarrass them right now, but I think you guys know who you are. So I made my album, and I realized I fortunately had assigned Neha Bajaj. She's my junior, also a very successful photographer in Bangalore. She's an architecture photographer and food. So she was assigned the responsibility of shooting my family photographs, my post family photographs. But eventually something happened at the thing, and Amok took over. So thanks, Amok, for that. If it wasn't for your pictures, I wouldn't have family formals, as they call it. So then when I put my album together, I realized the importance of having family formals. Yes, there is a place for documentary photography where there's just no post photographs. But there'll be times where there are clients who really do want 1 or 2 post photos. So I started incorporating post photographs in my documentary work. So now it's an option I leave to the client. If you want post, I'll do it. If you don't want, I won't do it. So that the post photographs are, I lean back on my knowledge of portrait and fashion photography. So I use lighting techniques from fashion, posing techniques from fashion in weddings. I actually talk about this in our Pixel Village course, how you should be,
Sure. Sure.
open-minded to other
So,
forms of photography.
would you like to show some images and probably take them through the story?
Yes, sure. So what while I was talking to Radha about what pictures to show and what pictures I actually have, in fact, I work strictly on desktops. My very first computer was a desktop, and then I switched to Macs about 2008. I bought a laptop then. Interestingly, it's still working till today. It's been 13 years that laptop still works, and I don't travel with laptops normally. I go back home. I work on my computer at home. And while I was here, I was like, man, this lockdown could take forever. I can't stay without. And my 13-year-old laptop was not working for me for my work as such. So I thought, let me buy a new one. So I decided to buy a new computer. I just bought the 2020 MacBook Pro. So I don't have my pictures. Why I'm telling you all this is not to show off. I'm telling you all this because I don't have any data with me. It's a brand new computer. Whatever I had was on my thumb drives and a little bit on my Google Drive. So I managed to pull out a few, and I decided that let me show this audience pictures that normally you would not see. You would not see these pictures. These are not pictures that will wow you. These are not pictures that will amaze you. These are not pictures that will, I would not probably show them to my clients because they're not portfolio worthy. And these are pictures which I love shooting. That's the key here. That we talk about style. This is the kind of pictures I shoot at almost every wedding. So these are some. I haven't really categorized them too strictly. There may be some overlaps, and so broadly speaking, there are 3 categories. I'll run through them as I show you. So I think I've. And these also incidentally my more recent work. Okay. In the last six months to a year. So
Sure.
I think we can start the screen sharing.
Yeah. So it's
Oh,
shared
is it on?
now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on. You can play.
Okay, I'm not a professional at presentations, so kindly excuse my mistakes as they go. I'm going to speak as this goes on. Let me just start the presentation. Oh, before I go on, uh, sorry, oops. Okay, here we go. My business name is William Chang Images. A lot of people confuse me for William Chang Photography, who's actually someone else. He happens to be right here in North America. He's also Chinese, obviously. He's also a photographer. He also shoots weddings. He actually has a Facebook page, and a lot of my friends have gone and liked that page. And good for him, but I don't actually have a Facebook page. And my For the record, I'm William Chang Images. There are many photographers around the globe who are Chinese who have the same name as well. So please just want to put it out there once and for all.
Yes,
Okay,
of
I'm
course.
calling this series Weddings Unseen. And the first is rehearsals. A little background about rehearsals. You might be wondering, what is this? Most people in the West, it's a very common thing because most weddings are Christian weddings. Even in India, Christian weddings, most of them, if not all, do have a day before the actual wedding day where they rehearse the wedding event. It may sound a bit funny, but this is so that you don't say the wrong things, stand in the wrong place, those kind of things. It's a rehearsal of the wedding day. So I love going for these rehearsals because it helps me to understand the location I'm shooting. Most often it's a church which was built 50, 60, hundreds of years ago, which didn't have modern lighting, it didn't have modern acoustics. So it's easier for me to not be surprised, excuse me, not be surprised on the day of the actual event if I go for the rehearsal. In fact, even if it's not a church, even if it's a wedding banquet hall, I prefer to go for what we call a recce. This is what I learned from Iqbal and my other instructors. When you go for a professional shoot, you can't just show up for a shoot. That's not being a professional. You need to go and you need to know the location before. You need to know where the sun rises, where the sun sets. I actually have an app on my phone which tells me at what date where the sun's position will be. In fact, it'll even tell me the position of the moon. So I know where to position the couple if I have to take a couple portrait, where the sun will set, where the sun will rise. So those are the reasons why we do a recce. And a rehearsal is another word for recce for me. So I actually take my camera and I shoot. And more often than not, I have captured moments at rehearsals which I would never see again, even at the wedding day. And these are usually very private, sometimes funny, sometimes emotional moments, which really are gems. So this is some of my pictures from there. So this is the first one. So it's a wedding that I shot in December in Delhi. The person on who's has his hands up is the groom, if that's not obvious enough. This is the end of the rehearsal where they're about to sort of leave the church. We call it the recessional, and they're about to just sort of they've just been announced Mr. and Mrs. and they're about to walk out. And this is the time where they go da, 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 you know, so where people throw confetti and they laugh and smile and hug and kiss and all that. So obviously in rehearsals you wouldn't do the confetti part, but this guy just decided to celebrate anyway because the next day was his wedding, and he just broke out into this dance which he actually didn't do on his actual wedding day. so so I got this picture and it was quite funny. This is a wedding in Bangalore that I shot in, I think it was this January. And here is the pastor. You can see he's now got shoes on. A lot of churches don't allow you to wear footwear in the holy places. In fact, that's a very common Indian culture and tradition where at the in the mandap area you take off your footwear. Which brings me to a very valid point about style again, but this is to do with personal style. I don't wear shoes with laces because I prefer slip-ons. I have to keep taking on and off my shoes when I have to enter and exit these places of worship. And then this is a little boy here. He's the ring bearer. On the rehearsal day, they didn't carry the actual ring or the ring pillow. So just so that he gets a hang of walking with something in his hands, his mother, who's there at the back, handed over her jacket to him to walk down. And just the look in his eyes, his father on the back with his cell phone, which probably he won't be able to shoot that picture from that angle because he'll be sitting somewhere else. So it's all these you know moments that I love capturing. And then here, his father, I mean, the bride's father, is kind of, he's supposed to walk her down the aisle, but he was doing it in such a stiff manner that, and obviously, this is not something that he does on a regular basis. So his daughter, who's the bride to be, kind of found that so funny, that why is my father like pushing me along the way, you know? And it didn't look as elegant. So eventually they did it in another way. But this is a moment that I managed to capture. And of course, this is the reason why we do rehearsal, is to avoid bloopers. And this is one of those bloopers which happened. And I think the groom said something and the bride just burst out laughing. In this particular rehearsal, this was a few years ago. It was in Tura, Meghalaya. And while the rehearsal was going on, it was late evening, probably around 5:36 in the evening. The lights just went out. And we all know our modern cell phones have a built-in LED torch. So whoever had torches just switched it on, and they continued with the rehearsal. And you can see the pastor, even he's holding, instead of a Bible, he's holding his cell phone, reading the verses out. And as he's doing the rehearsal, the bride's phone rings and she had to answer it. So, and I don't know, somehow the torch stayed on when she was answering the call. So I got this very interesting starburst shot. Oh, here, this is in Nagaland in Kohima. And this is another scene you would probably never see. Forget about a wedding; you wouldn't see it in a normal church service. This is the groom in the green jacket in front, and his aunt who's like leaned over him and practically like sitting on him, and she's directing this little the girls to how to walk and which line to stay in, and they're talking about expression and posture and those kind of things. And she probably did it so many times and she got fed up of standing, so she actually just found the nearest seat to sit on. She just sat on his shoulder, and he didn't seem to mind. Okay, over here, again, it's the same Tura wedding. Back to that. This I'm not going to take any names, but this person in the middle of the frame, he is a politician, and that's his daughter who's getting married. Yeah, and on the actual day of the wedding, he was pretty, what to say, composed and not really showing too much emotion. And a lot of times I've realized that people actually show their genuine emotion at rehearsals. And this is exactly what happened. The pastor was saying something. It just sounded. Uh, he was a pastor with a sense of humor, so he kept cracking jokes, and the couple found something really funny. And uh, it was funny one moment. The next moment, when the bride was reading out her vows, he just broke into tears. And it was a very brief moment. It happened. I kind of noticed it. He quickly wiped his tears off, and that was it. After that, he never shed a tear, even on the day of the wedding. So I thought this was a very, very powerful shot for me. This, in fact, is one of those pictures which uh, I don't mind putting in my portfolio. Okay, so that's the end of rehearsals. This is wedding still life. I told you in the beginning of my introduction that when I finished Light and Life, I really enjoyed shooting still life and found objects and fine art. So I continue to do that at weddings, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, I guess. Um, so this is a collection of pictures that I managed to dig out in the last 2-3 days. This is one of my most recent pictures. It's set against a mountain background. Uh, and the wedding was actually conducted by the bride's brother-in-law, who's not a priest or somebody who does weddings. So he actually bought a book on how to get married and conducted the wedding, and he left it on the table. This is the signing register where the bride and groom sign their marriage certificate. And I found it so funny that it was just there just before the wedding. This is, I guess, a sort of a dedication to my wife. She's a professional hair and makeup artist. She uh, has all of these instruments and these brushes and palettes with her, and oftentimes she's the makeup artist for the brides that I shoot. Not in this particular case, this is someone else, but it's just the way this artist had arranged all her brushes that I really liked. It was kind of chaotic, but also color coordinated, and just the lines and everything, and the shapes, the geometrical shapes, the lines. I really liked about it. The light was interesting, so I just shot it. And shots like this probably will not make it to the bride's wedding album, but it's just something nice to look at. And what's a wedding without food? In this particular shot, uh, I happen to be someone who loves desserts. So this particular shot was, I mean, rather, this particular dish was actually prepared by a complete amateur. This was a very first wedding, professional wedding she took up. She had to prepare desserts for 100 people. So she made desserts which looked as good as what you would buy from a gourmet pastry shop. So when I looked at it, I was like, wow. And trust me, I have not styled this picture. It was just as it was set up on the table. I just took a nice picture of it. I think it was a 70 mm lens with a wide open aperture, and it was just beautiful the way she had arranged everything. The color. In fact, I tasted the food as well. And on this day, she had about maybe 7 or 8 different desserts. I only ate desserts for dinner that day. I did not eat the main course. I enjoyed it so much. I actually told her, this is how I got to know the chef who prepared this, who happened to be the bride's sister. Okay, going from a very pretty food shot to a not so pretty food shot. I shot a wedding in Pune earlier in the year. Sorry, not Pune, in Mahabaleshwar. I landed in Pune and then I went to Mahabaleshwar. And uh, for people who don't know, Mahabaleshwar is famous for their strawberries. And this wedding was in that location. The bride was getting her hair and makeup done. You can see her little plastic at the back, which is for her lehenga. And she had not eaten anything. And the whole day, this was her first and only meal till she ate her banquet food. So I found it quite interesting that I'm sitting here in the land of strawberries in India, and then this bride gets to eat this for her breakfast. So I just took a picture of it. Not a pretty picture, but a picture that reminded me of that place. The same wedding, it happened to be a Maharashtrian wedding, and number 7 is, for many cultures, is a very what do you say, sacred or a choice number. Even in Hindi, say Saat Fere. The bride and groom, they take 7 rounds of the flame to cement their wedding, and it's based on 7 promises. And so here you see 7 betel nuts, and is it 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6. I think the 7th one is the chakli. So I may be wrong. Sorry, Amog, if I'm getting this wrong, but this is what I found very interesting. The way they had set up, the color. Maharashtrian weddings are particularly colorful. You can see over here. So I shot this picture for its color, for its shape, for its significance. Yeah. And what's a wedding without gifts? And nobody really has a place to keep gifts, and they just find whichever place in the house to keep them. This is a wedding in Tripura, where obviously the guests came with presents, and they just decided that the dining table was the best place to put them. So I just thought it was very funny that it was lying like that. Of course, Indian weddings are very colorful. This particular wedding I shot about a year back, and part of the decor was lots of color. It was a destination wedding in Jaisalmer, and they had these fans which reminded me, these toy fans which reminded me of my childhood. And I just thought it's amazing that these things still exist, and with the wind it would move, and the decorator actually put them in repurposed beer bottles, and they colored the beer bottle. I thought it was so nice that they would think of such a thing for a wedding. I mean, you would think of such things for birthdays, but for a mehndi function, the decorator decided to. I thought it was very nice, so I just decided to put that in. There's another wedding in the Northeast. Over there, uh, they just, I mean, Northeast weddings are really, really, in terms of numbers, they're really large. An average Naga wedding is about 2,000, 3,000 people. Yeah, that's kind of uh, audience you're looking at. You have to prepare food for that many people, which means, and they don't use cutlery, they use their hands. So you have 3,000 pairs of hands to wash. How are you going to prepare for that much water, or even taps? And so this is one of the solutions they come up with, is they have these portable wash basins with their own water supply. Here you see a chemical drum being used for storing water. Again, it goes back to how in India nothing goes to waste. This is a chemical drum. You wouldn't use chemical drums to store anything once they're used, but over here they washed it up, sanitized it, hopefully, and then they use it to store water so that people can wash their hands after eating their meals. Same wedding, another part of the banquet hall, where they just used semi-transparent pieces of cloth for decorating the place, and of course you have the infamous marigold flowers. So I just thought it looked really nice with the wind blowing, and it was nice. This probably can work for a, I don't know, book cover or something like that. So I just shot it because I thought it was a pretty picture. Sorry, I can't see your comments, so I don't know if I'm going too fast or too slow. I'm just going by instinct. This is
No,
again
you're perfect, and well, we can see you. We can see the wonderful images that you have shot, which are not the regular images that anyone would shoot in a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes this images different for sure, and also it's the point of view. I don't know how many people will worry about the way the gifts are kept in the dining room. How many photographers will even worry about it? So you have managed to keep it. Now for our onlooker, it may be a regular picture, but the people in the house, it's a very, very important part of their memory. They see it after now. That at that point in time, it may not be a important thing because it just happened, but say 50 years later, the grandson picks up and sees that, oh, this is how you used to do, this is how much gift that you got, so yeah, I mean, you are capturing the memory. So
right.
in all,
absolutely,
it's and everything is not really glamorous the way it is. Glamour,
yeah.
When you make it glamorous, you are lying a little bit.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah.
All right, please carry on.
Okay, so the next picture here is a picture of a butterfly. It's actually trapped under the shamiana that normally decorators cover when it's really sunny. But outdoor weddings, they put a covering on overhead, and this poor butterfly got stuck under it and was trying to escape. And it was, I was just waiting. I wasn't doing much. I was waiting for the bride and groom to change their clothes and make their entrance in the wedding hall. And I just looked up and I saw this butterfly trying to escape. It was too far away for me to try and help it. It was way beyond my reach. But I just pointed my camera at it and I got this shot of. I just thought it looked really symmetrical, just the way the lines and and the colors and all look nice. Eventually, the butterfly did manage to escape, so that's the happy ending. And the picture on the right is just. I just felt that uh, I wanted to pair them up because one on one side you have the picture that is, got straight lines. On the other side you have a big chaos. This is puffed rice that is used as, uh, I guess in some cases confetti, environment friendly confetti, and a lot of times it's thrown into the fire. And petals, of course, much better alternative to thermocol. So that was wedding still life. And the final category for today, I've just called it real documentary. There's no real too deep a meaning to it. It's just something that for me is real. Okay, it's my reality because it's a reality for a lot of people who are into this for a living, like myself. So I have actually featured uh, my brothers out there watching, the photographers, videographers, and other people, and people like DJs. The what which wedding is complete without music. So I took a picture of this DJ. Again, the same Maharashtrian wedding earlier where you saw those beetle nuts. It's the same floor, and the nighttime they converted into a DJ floor. And it's there's nothing in this shot. It's just a picture with a not a pop-up flash, but a portable flash. And I was like, man, this looks terrible. Let me spice it up a bit. He's a DJ. He's enjoying himself. You can see him spinning his discs, and and he was really a good DJ too. So I thought, let me do something for him. Let me spice it up a bit. So I did this. So this is again it goes back to my style. Almost every wedding which I shoot, which has low light or a dance sequence or something like that, I love doing zoom bursts. This is a technique called zoom burst. You use slow shutter speed, typically about 1/15 to 1/8 of a second, ISO about 1600, aperture about 5.6. It will vary depending on how much light is there, but generally this formula works. And you put your flash, your pop-up flash, on auto mode. You can either face it directly to your subject, or you can bounce it off a ceiling, or use one of those bounce boards like a magmod or something like that. And I have used that in this case. And you will not get it in the first shot. So while I'm pressing the shutter at about 1/8 of a second, I turn the zoom ring a little bit, either in or out. The results vary on depending on your style and your situation. So I just did a few shots and it came out like this. I thought it looks so nice because it almost looks like he has wings, you know, and he has little horns on his head. And the LED displays on his DJ console also lit up. So it looked really nice, and it works for weddings because normally weddings have disco lights and these what we call rice lights at the background. You see that, and they really look nice in this particular technique. So I use it a lot. Is this zoom burst technique. Um, and this shot, this wedding is from a few years ago. Um, you have musicians who, in North Indian weddings at least, they come with their dhols, and they are super talented, and they can, just with that one instrument, they can get an entire wedding party dancing. And it's just amazing that they can do that with just this one instrument, and the variety. And some of them even sing. So in this case he was doing both. He was singing and playing, and everybody was just having a fantastic time at this mehendi ceremony. And it just I just so happened to capture both of him and this person on the left with their eyes kind of shut. Yeah, it almost looks like they're really enjoying what they're doing. One guy's dancing, one guy's performing. And the very next shot, this little kid uh, found it obnoxiously noisy, and you can see him like in one shot. What I connected between the two shots was, in this shot it looks like he's really enjoying it, this person on the left, and on this one the little kid is like, the same music is just, it's just unbearable for him. On that note, I actually, there's a top tip for you guys. Whenever you're shooting weddings, always carry a set of earplugs or headphones, even your regular, either Bluetooth or your regular phones that you get with your smartphones, just to protect your ears. Sometimes when you're shooting amongst dhol players, and most weddings will have multiple dhol players. Sometimes one from the girl side, one from the boy side. And man, when there are 3 4 dhols playing together and you're shooting nearby, it's really really loud, and they play for a good hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. After a while your ears start ringing if you don't have ear protection. So protecting your ears is really important. This is a shot, goes it ties down to, there's nothing special about this shot. This is just a picture of the groom's friends who attended his wedding from very far away. Most weddings are like that. It's about family, it's about friends, it's about coming together of people from all over the world. And this is what you see here. And I realized that at this wedding, that this particular couple had people flown over from all over the world for this wedding, including myself. So I wanted to honor them, honor the client by helping them get some nice fun shots of these friends and family who have joined them for their wedding, and try to photograph them in a probably not the most glamorous, but at least in some way remind them of the fact that these guys were there at your wedding. uh, like I said in the beginning, I said that I would not shoot post pictures, I would not shoot these group photos initially in my career. But in the last 3 4 years, that has changed. I've evolved my style to include these pictures which mean something to the client. I know to the outside world it means nothing. It's just a picture of 2 people holding a wine glass. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be a wedding even. But to the couple, it means a lot because they are really close friends to these people. So I did this for them more than for me. So this is now a part of me as a service provider, that a part of the style of documentary photography I do also includes pictures like this. And they also say that you should not fire a flash directly at the people. I haven't done that here. I've actually used bounce flash for this. So this is a way where I probably could use pictures like this to show people how to use flash in a low light situation and not use direct flash. So yeah, this is an example of that. Uh, Yeah, oftentimes I have people who come alongside me to shoot weddings. Here's Mingma, my assistant. He's shooting this what we call the janta shots of the wedding. Very often, couples still require these shots at receptions. So uh, I often it's a good way for youngsters in the industry to practice posing and getting comfortable with shooting people, especially strangers. And at weddings, you meet all kinds of people. So over here, I often push my assistants to go and shoot this because not because it's too lowly for me to shoot. I also shoot them every now and then, but I want my assistants to learn this skill because it's so important that you guys learn how to interact with people, how to get them to smile, especially the couple who's been standing there for 2 3 hours smiling, and that smiles are getting tired. It's a way for youngsters to experience what it's like to shoot long hours, as well as to get good looking expressions and get the couple to be comfortable in front of the camera in spite of them having a long day. So this is just a document of you know my assistant helping me out here, and that's how you should use a bounce flash in my opinion. And another tip, if you're shooting group photos, try and use a tripod. You won't be so tired. And over here, what I see is you see actually 3 photographers. Uh, One of them is doing double duty as a light man on the left, and the guy, the leather jacket, he is a photographer but also shoots video. So, and there's actually a photographer behind him as well in the red jacket. So it's just a picture of I had I have a good memory of this wedding because of these 3 guys. Uh, they were local photographers from Pune, from Mahabaleshwar, and we got talking during the wedding, and they were just telling me about the ceremonies and what goes on in a Maharashtrian wedding and all that, and it was really nice to be friends with them. And almost every wedding I go, I meet other photographers as well, and it's a very unusual thing in Indian weddings that you have. It's not uncommon to see multiple teams of photographers. In this case, there were two sets of photographers. There was me who was doing the documentary style, and there was these gentlemen here who most people call them as traditional photographers, and I'm called the candid photographer. You know, so these are the guys. So that's that. Over here, he's Christopher Peter, another dear friend of mine who shoots weddings, also in a documentary style. So here you can see him using a DSLR shooting the makeup session of uh, this wedding. Similarly here, I was doing a little formal session for the bride, and while I was shooting, the videographer also wanted to take some pictures. So the light was good, and so he decided to just kind of take. So while I was waiting for him to finish a shot, I was like, hey, why not take a shot of him doing work? Maybe he will use it someday for his behind the scenes footage. So I've had videographers who's helped me. In fact, in my YouTube video, it was a videographer who provided her clip uh, for the video, and this is my way of giving back to people who work in the same industry. Maybe he can use this picture for his website or his social media, wherever he wishes to use it. So this is why I shot it. So that brings me to the end of the three major categories. I have just one last category. It's not really a category as such. It's just something that really touched me in the very recent past. This couple. Before I show you the picture, I just want to tell you about the couple. I'm not going to reveal their names, and I can't show you their faces either, simply because this couple actually hasn't seen their own wedding book right now. In fact, if they are watching this, that this is going to be a surprise to them. Um, they haven't seen the wedding book because it's been printed and it's lying in my house at the book, and because of the lockdown, I haven't been able to deliver the book. It's just lying there, and it's so frustrating that sitting here in Canada, I know the project is complete, but it's not yet till I don't hand over the book to the couple. But this couple, in the course of the wedding and the days leading up to the wedding, they were so nice and so warm and so welcoming to me. And I had a second shooter for the wedding as well, and Abraham, if you're watching this, you're part of this, so thank you, Abraham Joshua. So he took pictures of me working without even me knowing that he was taking pictures of me. And I shot the picture, I finished it, give the edit. So before I print the book, I give the entire collection of photographs to the couple, and they decide which pictures they want to put in their album. In the book, we can only accommodate about a maximum of 150 photographs. It's a 100-page book. So you can imagine how you would fit 150 pictures in that 100 pages. So obviously, couples would really think twice about which pictures they want in their book. You wouldn't put pictures like any of the pictures I've shown you so far. I don't think even one would make it to the wedding book. So when I was in touch with the client, asking them which pictures you want in the book, they selected these two pictures. And I was like, one makes sense, the other does not. Why do you want a picture of the other one? And I actually told them that, are you really sure you want this picture? They're like, yes, William, we want this picture because of what you've done for us for our wedding. And we love the photography and we love that you've captured each and every moment, those kind of things. So, and I was so touched by it. And reluctantly, I put this picture in. And this is an actual double spread of what their book looks like. So it's on the left, there's a picture of me photographing their wedding, and it's a picture of it's like breaking all the rules. You don't shoot a portrait of somebody's back of their head. you know and in fact, the picture on the right is the actual picture I was photographing of this couple in church, and this would be would make it to, say, like my portfolio, a picture like this. But on the picture on the left, I wouldn't put that even in my behind the scenes pictures, because it's a picture of my back. You can't even identify me if I'm not there to tell you it's me. So I thought it was so nice that this couple uh, really wanted. In fact, they actually put two pictures of me shooting them. There's another picture where you can see my face. Um, so they put this in the album. I was like so touched. In fact, I have a invitation for dinner to their house when I eventually returned back to Delhi. So I wanted to end with this, my slideshow, this picture, because my point I'm trying to make is, you are a photographer, yes. You are being paid for your work, yes. But beyond that, you're for me, I I like to invest in relationships, in people more than just the business aspect of what I do. You know, I think weddings is something that's really personal for me, and I feel that, can I end the screen sharing? Rather, if you're there, can you end the screen? I think that's it.
So
Okay, I can't hear you.
you can go to the street the broadcast window. Yeah, click on
Okay,
that window and you're there.
okay.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is that weddings for me, even today, after having been a professional for 15 years in this industry, there are forms of photography which feel like work for me. Like, it's not something I truly enjoy doing, but I do it because I'm trained to do it. I know how to do it, but it's not necessarily something that I'm passionate about. I won't reveal which ones they are because that's not it's not nice. But wedding photography for me is something that's personal. It does not feel like a job. I thoroughly enjoy it because I clients allow me to do what I do, what I love to do, and the way I like to do it. And they allow me to shoot all these kind of pictures, and some of them make it to the book, some of them don't. And um, so that's the thought I wanted to kind of leave you with. I know we have gone beyond an hour, so I don't want to drag this on for too long. So documentary photography is about how I enjoy my passion, I love my passion, and how I've developed over the years. My style has developed, it has evolved, it has not changed. There's a difference between changing and evolving. And for me, it has evolved. So that for
Okay.
me is how it sums it up. It's more than just a job.
Thank you very much, William, for giving us a peep into your professional life. I want to ask our viewers, how many of you who are professional wedding photographers who actually feel like this when you go out to do a wedding, an assignment? If you are looking at that assignment as an assignment and a job, a mere job, and you deliver, take your check, and nice knowing you, well, but then you may not understand many things or appreciate many things which William shared with you. But if you are someone whose life is photography and who wants to really, where relationship matters more than just being a photographer on an occasion, well, then I think then you are then you will definitely understand what William is trying to tell you. So at this point, I would I absolutely,
Let's take some
so we
questions.
have, yeah, so we have one comment which is absolutely feel him doing this. I feel when I cry with my bride sometimes. Oh my
You know
God.
what, Mehul Chimthankar, it's interesting that you say that. It has happened to me. There have been times where people have gotten emotional in front of the camera, and I've had a tear roll down my cheek. And it happens. I mean, when I see, it depends on the situation, of course, but there have been times where I have felt the same
Yeah.
emotion of the person I'm photographing.
Vijay is saying art is about connecting with people.
Well said, Vijay
Yeah.
Rajawat.
And shooting a wedding just for money is no less than a 9 to 5 corporate job. Very well said. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, so let's start taking questions let's start taking questions. So I saw a couple of questions that rolled past me. So let me just pull it back onto the screen. Thank you. It was from Anwar Tanawala. I remember meeting him in. Okay, his addressed to you. His question is addressed to you.
How many people are there in my team?
Correct.
By default, I'm a one-man army. I work alone. I I go meet the client, I make my pitch. When the shoot happens, I'm alone. If I do give the option to the client to have a second shooter, and usually it's on a paid basis. So if the budget is there, we do have a second shooter, sometimes a third, but that's very rare. To answer your question, I'm a one-man army. I do have assistants who accompany me from time to time. They shadow me. They don't necessarily shoot. They're just people who maybe they're just as an intern who just want to like hang around a professional and see how things go, and probably just take care of my belongings, my precious belongings at weddings, which are a very public event where people, I mean, photographers often lose it or get equipment stolen. um, yes, but as much whenever there's an assistant, I don't like them to just hang around. I always tell them to bring a camera of some kind so that they can actually shoot, and I tell them to get their own cameras because they know their own equipment better than they know my equipment. So I ask them to get their own equipment to also shoot. I give them complete freedom to kind of go around and shoot.
Okay. This one is from Iftikhar. Iftikhar is asking, what are the important things to keep in mind while shooting the first wedding assignment? So if you can quickly answer that, Iftikhar will be happy.
Good question, Iftikhar. I would say that if it's your very first wedding, don't take any money for it. Because if you're saying it's your very first wedding, you don't have any prior experience, there is a high possibility you might ruin their wedding pictures. Okay. I'm assuming you're saying this because you're somebody who's a complete amateur, who's not done weddings before, who's not even done any professional assignments before. So it's a high risk environment shooting a wedding, because the risk of simple things like data corruption or cameras getting stolen or just not able to capture the right moment or know what the ceremony is about and not capture the really essential moments, there may be chances of you basically ruining the day for them. And weddings is something that you have only one chance to shoot. So I would suggest that don't just dive into the deep end. Try and assist somebody for at least 5 or 6 wedding assignments from start to finish, including the finished product, and then dive into actually do your first wedding assignment. Also, another tip I would say is, once you've done all this, don't just go with one camera. Try to carry a backup of some sort. Either if you cannot afford 2 DSLRs, then at least a cell phone that can shoot RAW. You can always download Lightroom and shoot RAW and get something. I still shoot with my cell phone from time to time when I need a second camera, or I just don't have any other camera in hand. So it's very, very risky to go to a wedding with just one camera. And it's nice to, if you can, get a friend or another photographer along, just to kind of help you get a second perspective. For a newcomer, shooting a whole wedding alone is very, very daunting. It's very difficult. So I would say, yeah, these are 2-3 things I would say you should do if you have to shoot your first wedding.
So there you have Ravi sir saying hi to
Hi,
William.
Ravi. How are you?
And then we have Arindam Mukherjee saying nice talk.
Hi, Arindam.
So they both are mentors in Pixel Village. And we also had Prasanna sometime in the beginning of the session while you were presenting and saying, talking about your images.
Hi, Prasanna.
Hi. So this question is from Rishal Menon. He's asking, if you are a beginner wedding photographer, how much do you expect to invest in your equipment? It's a big question. People want to know, how do you decide how much I should be investing in my hardware, when I set out into photography, wedding photography?
Hi, Rishal. It's a good question there, and a very important one. Rishal, sorry. Yes. I think that there is no simple answer to that. In today's day and age, you can buy a DSLR, a very capable DSLR, for under 25,000 rupees, which will give you a lens, a body, a lens, and a memory card, and in some cases a camera bag even. So strictly speaking, you can spend as less as 25,000, but of course, being digital photography, you cannot do it without a laptop. And I think you should invest a decent amount of money in your laptop as well, which will probably set you back anywhere between 60 to a lakh. I'm talking low end. So you're looking at about a lakh of rupees for to start with. You can shoot a wedding for as less as a lakh investment, but I would say that is the lower end, and that's like really and at a sort of a beginner level. It does not mean you will not get professional results. I started my wedding, or my forget wedding, my professional career with a Canon 300D, which was a 6 megapixel plastic body silver color camera, and I made it work. And I didn't even have a Mac or an Apple computer back then. I had assembled my own PC with whatever little money I had, and I still managed to do it. And I think even back then, this is about 2003. Yeah, 2003. And my investment back then was about a lakh. So, but if you want to if you know that's something that you want to do professionally and you want to invest in good equipment, I would say for the beginning part of your career, don't waste your money on very high-end camera bodies. For the simple reason that every 6 to 8 months, a new one releases, and the one you currently own feels like nothing. So that's like a syndrome we have nowadays. Invest in good quality invest in good quality glass, your lenses. If if I were to redo things, I would invest in prime lenses, a 50 mm, a 24 mm, and a 85 mm. These three lenses is enough to do wedding photography, in my opinion, for my kind of work. If you don't want to go the prime lens route, just buy the zoom lens, the kit lens. A 24-70 works perfect. Even a 16-35 ultra wide is my go-to lens for weddings, simply because we're shooting in very confined spaces, for the most part in India. So shooting ultra wide makes pictures look grand, make venues look grand. And you need a portrait lens, so you could start with a 50 mm, the nifty 50, 9,000 rupees, I think, at this point in time. Or if you want to step it up, you can get the 1.4. If you want to step it up even higher, you can get the 1.2 if you can afford it. And an 85 mm. Any of the 85s, they work really well for portraiture, especially for low light, for getting those nice milky bokehs. And it's a really nice focal length for portraiture. I would also go to the extent of saying invest in a good macro lens, or a lens that has a macro feature, like the 24-70. The Canon 24-70 has a macro lens feature where you can get fairly close. You can shoot jewelry, like pieces of earring, which you can actually just get this much of the ear or just much of the nose. Of the ring, you can just go really close and shoot just that much of the ring, and get pretty good detail with macro lenses. So it would be not a bad idea. So with all this in mind, you invest in these 4 lenses, get a decent tripod. You're looking at about a rough estimate, what, 3 lakhs with a decent computer. So a mid-range investment, I would say, is about 3.5 lakhs.
Okay, so that takes us to the next question. Please tell us your favorite camera and PC. By the way, William is a Canon, Canon man. He's a Canon Pro, and he uses Canon. By the way, look at this image. Look at this.
It stopped. I can't see or hear anything.
I can see you. It must be your network. Yeah.
Did you share something? I didn't see. Everything froze.
Oh no, it is.
What do you want? Are you showing something, or you want me to answer the question? Hello, Radha? Something's wrong.
No, I am saying take a look at that image. And
which image?
The image that I shared of yours, your webcam, to the viewer. Your webcam. Don't panic. I mean, people are getting what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. I just want to tell people that William is using the EOS R as a webcam now, and you are seeing a wonderful image that is created through his favorite. And he's a Canon man. He's a Canon Pro. is an ambassador. So we are Nikon. I mean, Siddharth wants to know which is the camera that you would recommend, which is
Okay.
your favorite camera. So I thought I will, give them a
My
clue,
fa-
and then, but I failed miserably.
Okay. Oh, so sorry. I'm so sorry. I
No
didn't get that.
problem. No
Okay.
problem.
So that my favorite camera, I don't have a favorite camera as such. At the moment, my brand of choice is Canon's for my professional work. My smartphone is, well, let me see if I can get this out. Is right here. It's a iPhone 7 Plus. I just like the Apple. Um, I just like everything Apple does. Uh, you can say I'm an Apple fanboy. I use MacBooks and iMacs at home. I just bought my first MacBook Pro about 2 weeks ago, and I just think that the computers they make really work really well. They have their own set of problems. I'm not going to say they're perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect camera, no such thing as a perfect computer or smartphone. They're gadgets at the end of the day. They help me get things done. They are tools. It does not mean that if you use what I do, you'll ace it. I've seen people with fantastic equipment fail miserably, and I've seen people with very basic equipment do some fantastic work. So equipment are just tools. They shouldn't define you. But I hope I answered my question. Right now, for your technical knowledge, for my webcam, I'm using an EOS R, and I have a 5D Mark IV. I do have a 1D at home as well, which I'm not carrying right now. So for my professional work, I cycle between these three cameras, and I have a whole host of lenses, mostly from Canon. I think I have just one non-Canon lens, a Sigma.
Oh, okay. Wow. So before you take that next question, I want to tell people that we have this session coming up tomorrow. We have Ranjan Sharma talking about smartphone. Smartphone, is that the future? Well, there are a lot of people. Ranjan Sharma is an evangelist. He started working with mobile phones for almost 6-7 years. He's been talking about it, and in Mentor Speaks, you're going to listen to Ranjan Sharma tomorrow. He's going to be talking about mobile phones, and he's going to actually demonstrate a whole lot of things to you, many things that you didn't even know that existed in a mobile phone, and how capable are mobile phones. So that's something that you should watch out for. And if you have friends who are into mobile phone photography, they all will really like it. So please spread the word, and I would like to see a lot of people coming and watching that. And on Monday morning, at about Monday noon, 12:30 India time, Andrew Johns will be back talking about audio. This time, audio for DSLR and mirrorless video making. So we all buy these crazy expensive cameras, but audio is probably, I would say, more important at times to create an impact in a video. So audio is more important. So he's Andrew Johnson, an audio expert, and he will be talking to us from Los Angeles. And it's 12:30 a Monday afternoon. That's an important thing that you should not miss. And Monday afternoon, we have Jesse Oberoi talking about Unleash the Artist in You. Okay, so he's an amazing photography mentor. He's an amazing landscape photographer, and if you've not seen him, he's also a great glamour photographer. He has not really shared many of his works, glamour photography works, with the world. So he's going to talk to you about unleashing the artist in you. So please don't miss these 3 sessions. They are very important, and I would like you not to miss that. So Vigilant, let's now back to the Vigilante's question. How to encourage yourself as a photographer, right? Very important.
Oh, nice question, Vigilante.
Yeah.
I think for me, I spend a lot of time with other photographers just talking about photography, like you, Radha. I mean, you've been an inspiration for me for the way you've been so, always, going for it. You've always achieved such high highs in your career. I've always heard good things about you.
Much.
from
Sure.
people who've assisted you, like Swapnil, like Dinesh, and I've assisted you on one shoot, if you remember,
Sure.
and I saw you work, and it helped me uh, to have people who I look up to in the industry and spend time with them and to be friends with them and to just be able to talk photography with them helps me a lot to encourage myself as a photographer. I have other friends like Rajiv Kumar, who's I think he's still looking. He's a documentary photographer in Chennai. You should see his work. A phenomenal style. He's been a second shooter for me for many weddings. Um, he's very shy. I don't think he wants to be mentioned here, but I've already done that, Rajiv. Sorry. Um, I love spending time just talking photography, talking equipment, what's the latest. I get all my latest, news about photography from him. There are many others like that. There's Jonathan Kingston, who has been my instructor from Light and Life days and is a good friend now. He does photo tours all over the world. He's a National Geographic photographer. So his work and the way he conducts himself and the style of photography he does really encourages me to just look at his work and to be able to. I think more than photographers' works, it's the person of the photographer I like to spend time with. That really encourages me. There are others in Delhi and in India who also help me to not be discouraged with what's going on, especially with our situation now. With I think one question I saw about what do you think about photography after COVID-19? I don't know. I mean, we are in such a place today that we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I don't know when I'm going to be back in India, when the skies will open up. So, you know, I think there's stories to be told in every aspect of our life. And I am doing that right now. I'm telling a story of my career, my wedding photography career through this medium of Facebook and YouTube Live. So, and I hope that this is an encouragement to you guys who are watching. So I think I get my encouragement from various sources. Even when I teach, I think that's another thing I want to talk about. I stumbled upon teaching. I was somebody who was very shy. I wasn't someone who could even face an audience of more than 4 or 5. And today I've done workshops where there are 300-400 people sitting in the audience. I've taught corporates about mobile photography also, and uh, I'm like doing public speaking, something that I never thought I would do. I got encouraged from my students at Jamia, at other places I've taught with Canon and all that. Um, so spending time with amateurs, spending time with seasoned professionals in my classes, just interacting with them one on one, that has really encouraged me when I hear their stories, when I hear what technical issues they go through and all that. So I think all those help me be encouraged about photography in general. William, sir, please have a look at your social media accounts and website to get to know more of you. Is that a question? FM1 Pro, Sir
Well,
William?
he would like you to share your Insta if you have an
Oh,
Insta. Yeah. So if you
please
have,
have
I
us look
can
at it.
type. Yeah, sure. That's why Lee
Yeah.
have us. See was
So my latest work can be seen at my website. That's williamchangimages.com, williamchangimages.com, or yetanotherphotographer.com. It's like a little humorous take on photography, but it's not got any deeper meaning than that. Um, so you can check out the best of best, my portfolio in the kinds of work I do. I have an Instagram handle. It's called William Chang Images, where I primarily share personal stuff. Um, just things I see, funny things I see around me, stuff that would never get me paid. Non-professional work. I have kind of kept that deliberate, where I have not put anything professional in my Instagram, in my social media accounts. I don't have a Facebook page. I've already said that. I have a personal Facebook page, which is just me with my friends and family and work friends and those kind of things. I don't have a. I'm very bad at marketing. Let me say that the social media marketing, I have just not gotten onto that. Um, Honestly, I don't see the need for it at this point in time. I don't know what will happen after COVID-19, so I may start one. I may not start one. I have shared a few of my professional assignments on Instagram, the work I did for Harper's Bazaar recently. I started dabbling in video a little bit. Um, so I've done a little bit of video work. And so I've kind of displayed that on my Instagram account, which is William Chang Images.
So Vijay Rajawat particularly liked my Malayali accent. Let me tell you, Vijay, I spent 56 years trying to develop that. So, it doesn't come easily. Try it. You will not get it very fast. I spent 56 years trying to do it. Thank you, Vijay, for that compliment.
Okay. I think somebody was, some comment was about me. They wanted to hear me speak in Hindi. So मैं कुछ देर के लिए मैं हिंदी में बोलूंगा. अगर आपके कोई सवाल है जो आप मेरे से जानना चाहते हैं हिंदी में, मैं कोशिश करूंगा उनको हिंदी में बोलने में.
वो खुदकुशी में करने का हिम्मत नहीं रखता हूँ. Well,
I'm not you. I'm talking about some questions from the viewers.
I understand. All right. So there are lots of Jamia people saying hi from, you said, please come back to Jamia, sir. Prachi says,
Hi, Prachi. I'll be back soon. It's just unfortunate what's happening. I mean, I never planned it, and I'm really sorry that we can't have classes at this point in time. But you can do a live session if you want.
Then you have shout out to Chang sir from Jamia. So lots of Jamia students here.
Thank you to everybody at Jamia.
Yeah, sure. Somebody even liked my Hindi. Someone says Mehul is saying. Okay, so Radha sir, please do a webinar on food. Please do a webinar on food and product photography. Of course, so if you would like to quickly take a look at our website, we have an online photography website called Pixel Village. And there, if you go to the courses, you can actually see lots of courses, which including, so we have wedding photography, we have beginner fundamentals, we have landscape photography, you have mobile phone photography, fashion photography, and food photography. So in Hindi and both in Hindi and English, you can actually, go there, see what is there. You can actually also see a little trailer of what is in it. You can actually play the trailer and see it for yourself. And that's your trailer.
Tell them about the app.
Yeah, sure. So we have these classes, these courses available for you, and there are free sessions available, lots of free classes available. We also will conduct, now onwards, we'll conduct a lot of live webinars where you can, lots of them will be free, many will be, on a small subscription basis. And these are pre-recorded classes, very high quality classes. These classes are created by, or the mentors are from all across the country. This is documentaries by Ashima Narayan. You have Arindam Mukherjee, a fine art photography by Rafiq sir, Rafiq Syed. I mean, fantastic. There are 2 sessions, one in English and one in Hindi. If you are an e-com photographer, there are lots of e-com photography, English, Hindi, and small studio photography. You have studio lighting classes, all available at Pixel Village. Sign up. And we also have apps available, so you have apps. Go to Google Play Store, currently available only for Android. Hopefully we will soon have it for iPhone as iOS as well. So this please install the app. And so that's what we have to talk about in terms of classes. So Shahid, we already have classes and the webinars are being planned. We will bring it to you very soon.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, I suppose that's it. People, if you guys have liked the session, please give us feedbacks right here, right now, if it's possible. That'll be wonderful. Any changes, fine tunings that are required, that also please let us know. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank first William for staying up late last night, making that presentation. One, second, getting
Welcome.
up early
My
enough
pleasure.
so that you can be here and still, you not show your sleepiness and all that on your face, but you stayed on. I saw that
No,
extra
no
large
problem at all.
size coffee. I saw that extra large size coffee mug that you had.
Yeah,
You
it's huge.
prepared yourself. You
Woo.
prepared yourself very well. Yeah, thank
Yes,
you very
yes.
much, and
Thank you.
regards to
Thank
your
you.
family who allowed you to, I hope they're all fine, and we did not disturb their sleep.
Yes,
So, regards to
absolutely.
your
They're
family,
just-
and thank you
Thank you.
very much. And we knew Tom was talking about Malayalam classes. Of course, we will definitely look at Malayalam classes. Sure, I mean, it is a possibility. We're working on it. And people are basically happy. So Rafi saying thanks, FM Pro saying thanks, Gautam saying it's been greatly inspired. Oh, a lot of people got happy and inspired by William. Gautam Mandalia saying I have been greatly inspired from William sir. So that's wonderful.
Happy
Thank
to
you
hear
very
that,
much
Gautam.
for letting us know. And Priyadarshan Ghatke saying nice content. Thank you, Mr. William.
Welcome.
Then we have Radha sir. I'm a huge fan of your voice and bass. Of course,
So
thank
am
you
I.
very much. Exactly, but I cannot take any credit for that. I mean, the whole package mein aa gaya. So I cannot really take any credit for the voice. Yeah, thank you very much. Akash Chauhan saying good session. Thank you, Radha sir, for this. Miss your classes, Chang sir. Lots of people. Yeah, Datta Leela saying Chang, thank you, Chang and Radha, thank you. Cheers, sir. Cool. All right. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time, for being with us. And also, thank you, William, once again for your time. And I hope you get back to get back to Delhi very soon. Pixel Village needs you. Jamia needs you. Your client needs that. Your client needs that album very fast. Lots of things. You are in demand. So let's get back with the prayers are with you. Thank you very much, and thank you,
Radha.
everyone. Thank you,
Pixel Village.
Everyone.
Thank you each and everyone who logged in today. And just want to say thank you and be safe. And hope to see you guys soon.
Stay safe. It's a passing phase. We need to stay through it. Don't do anything adventurous. You've stayed so far strong. Just stay. I mean, it's almost at the end. This is probably the most difficult and most dangerous time. So just stay cool. Don't do anything adventurous. This too shall pass. One more thing. You look at any such major events that happened in the past. After that, there was a boom. Okay, a boom. You look at the world wars. You look at anything that like this happened, which has affected the entire world. The world has bounced back with more vigor. Okay, so which means you should be there with full energy, great mental energy, spiritual energy, physical energy to experience that. All right. So stay strong, stay safe. Thank you very much. Bye for now.